A pleasant evening to you viewers out there. I must apologize for, the little setback we had earlier. These things sometimes do happen and it's way above human control. But that being said, I am happy to be back and I would want to encourage you once again to share the life, let your friends, your family know that Across the Waves is back on air, and that encourage them to tune in so that they can be apprised and updated on what is going on locally in our nation. So I'll start in another minute or so. So again, I would want to urge each and every one of you tuned in to Across the Waves to share the live. This is the only way the message, the information can get across. It doesn't make sense, you not sharing and want to keep all the information you have to yourself. That wouldn't help. In order for our people to know exactly what is happening, information is critical. Information is important because with information, you're now empowered to think differently, to act differently, and whatever goes with it. So once again, share the live across all the outlets we have here on social media. um, Also, the reason why myself and many of my colleagues, because some of my colleagues, they too have programs such like these, but under different names. And it is as a result of us not having the different, what should I say, the different outlets, in the mainstream media. They're not as friendly as they ought to be to the opposition members. And as a result of that, we have to devise other mechanisms in order to get our messages out. You have the APNU live, every single day from Monday to Friday from 5 in the afternoon to 6 in the evening. And then I know other colleagues, Coretta McDonald, she has a program that is being aired every Wednesday. I think it's between 6:30 to 7 or 7:30 to 8, something like that. Then you have Mr. Honorable Cheryl Duncan in the ring every night from 8 p.m. I know my colleague Nia Flu Best. She too has a program every Saturday from 11 to 11:30. Also, Sherwin Holder, Honorable Sherwin Holder, there in Region Number Two. He too has a program that is aired, I think, every Tuesday night from 8:30 to 9 or something like that. So I want to encourage you so that you can tune into all these programs so that you can get a sense as to what is happening in our nation, because a lot is happening, a lot that is happening is not being reported in the mainstream media. And as a result of that, this is our platform, besides doing our different work in the various constituencies, in the various regions that we have responsibilities for. We find other mechanisms where we can reach out to you and, educate you. But that being said, once again, I thank you for joining me this evening. Last week we hadn't a program because we had, there was an MP program whereby you had all 31 MP, including regional councillors who tuned in on that platform to share on the hot topic, domestic violence or gender-based violence that our nation is still grappling with. But just before the slight interruption, I did expound a bit the importance of being informed as it results to gender-based violence in our country, and the need for us, as whether parents, as community leaders, as religious leaders, whether political leaders, we have a duty to educate our people against this scourge, the gender-based violence. It isn't healthy for our nation, a small population, and we continue to see women being abused by men in most cases. Many of them, their lives are lost because of the impact that that injury have would have caused them. So I want to encourage all of us that we must be able to make gender-based violence our business, because for too long our women, they are crying out. The police, they too have a role to play. They too have a role to play when women, or in some cases men, visit the stations to lodge a complaint. They must be able to conduct um, their necessary investigations so that we can, you know, hit, nip this particular problem. It is a social problem in our nation. So, as I said before, I want to encourage all of us to get involved and to educate our people. That being said, um, I know Christmas is around the corner. It's already 17 days in the month of December. And I know that come next week, many of us will be celebrating Christmas. And as I educate you just about 2 weeks ago, the reason for Christmas. The reason for Christmas is not about Christmas trees. It's not about Santa Claus. It's not about the decorations or the food we eat. The sole purpose for Christmas is the coming of Christ. Or, in the um, Anglican community, they would normally refer Anglican and the Catholic. They would normally refer to it as the Advent, which means the coming of Christ, the birth of Christ Jesus. So that is the sole purpose for Christmas, and I know Christians across the world, families, they all come together to share as one. They all come together, to discuss, because many of us would not, we don't see our family on a daily basis, or on a monthly basis, because of our different where we live, um, and so forth. So Christmas is also about family. It's also about love. It's also about sharing. It's also about peace and all manner of things. So I want to encourage us all. You see, I have on the little thing there, that little advertisement, toy drive. I must say it's not going too well, but the remaining days for Christmas, I trust that each and every one of you out there can get on board so that we can bring a smile on the face of many of our citizens. And as I'm talking about Christmas, I want to touch on my first topic this evening is about the continuous dismissal of persons within the public service. And this is wrong. This is bad. Any government that works its salt, coming into office after a 5 years pause, should not be doing such a thing. In this COVID environment, in this time of 2020 has not been a very good year for us at all. Not only for Guyanese, but globally, 2020 has not been a good year, right? Because many persons might have been laid off temporarily. Many persons might have had to accept a cut in their payments, amongst every other thing, because of COVID. But here in Guyana, what do we see? we we saw a government, a bunch of people came into government by all means of the assistance of the ABC countries, and with invalid votes, by fraud, and I can use all the various adjectives to describe them. That is how they came to government. But rather than coming to government with a plan to share with your Guyanese people, this is what we have as a plan. to move the country forward in another 5 years' time because, they always claim that the APNU ain't do nothing at all. We ain't do nothing. The APNU spent $1.3 trillion and still we haven't seen anything. But I'll get to that in a bit. But what have we seen for the last 136 days? From the 2nd of August 2020 to the 17th of December 2020. And it will be continuous. We are seeing the unlawful dismissal of public servants, educated people who got philosophy degrees, people who got masters, in some cases double masters, people who got bachelor's degree that can show the entire nation that, hey, I am well qualified for the position that I held. But you know what is happening? And sometimes it is good for us to remind you Guyanese because we tend to forget. We tend to forget. So this is what happened. During the lead up of the 2020 elections, we heard about all the massive plans. We saw them all displayed on electrical posts in our various communities, in our villages. We heard about the 50,000 jobs to be created. We heard about 20,000 online scholarships. We heard about 50,000 house lots. We heard about 50% increase. We heard about the return of the 1 month bonus for the joint services. All these dreams we heard by a bunch of criminals, for a want of a better word. That is what we heard. But you came into government rather than sitting and governing this country, moving this country since the APN, you didn't do anything. Well, you have a chance now to start governing. But what we have seen is one, a set of people or the president who is not qualified because we knew where he got his degrees from and is yet to produce to this nation the authenticity of his degrees. What have we seen? The other thing, no plan. There is no plan. But not a plan to move the country forward. They came in with a plan to get rid of certain people from the public service. Whether they had contracts, whether they were on pensionable establishment, at the end of the day, in order for them to be categorized in the two areas that I have just identified, is that these people had to be qualified in order to get their jobs. But what we are hearing, oh, their APNU, their PNC, their AFC, their WPA, their JFA, and all kinds of things. But I am aware, and like I sure many of you Guyanese out there, that many persons who have been relieved of their jobs, those persons are not card-bearing members of the. I mean, I can speak for the political party that I'm a member of the People's National Congress Reform. I have never seen Dr. Mark Bino there. I have never seen um, some of these PSAs that were relieved of their jobs around the Miss McCalmont from from um, from the Ministry of Public Security. I've never seen some of these people around the People's National Congress Reform. But because of their ethnicity, Because it seems to me there's no place for Afro-Guyanese in this nation. But I want to remind the People's Progressive Party Civic that Guyana, capital Guyana, belongs to Guyanese. It didn't belongs to Afro alone. It didn't belongs to Indo alone or Chinese, Portuguese, Europeans. It belongs to Guyanese. And as our motto says, we're one people. Because when you put all the six races together, we are one. We're one people. We're one nation, Guyana. And we all have one common destiny. Our destiny is to see the development of our nation. We heard about, Guyana being the next Dubai or Guyana being the Dubai in the Caribbean. That is our destiny, where we would want to see our country. So each and every one of us, we have an equal responsibility, a civic responsibility towards the development of this nation. But what we're confronted with on a daily basis, and it continues as of today, and I'm going to share a letter with you in a short while, that people are being sent home unlawfully. Now, how can you send home people unlawfully? It is not the responsibility of a minister of the government or any politician to hire public servants. It is the responsibility of the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission, which we do have a functional Public Service Commission, they by constitution, it's headed by a chairman and it has commissioners. And it is their responsibility to ensure that vacancies in the public service are advertised. It is their responsibility to ensure that after the advertisement of those vacancies, persons are interviewed or selected, then interviewed, and persons, once you're successful at the interview, you are employed. So once they satisfy all the criterion for that job, it is the Public Service Commission that has the responsibility of hiring and firing. But what we have been seeing from the 3rd of August to now is that Gail Teixeira, other ministers of the government, Miss Waldron, Dharamlal, and all the others, they are on a witch hunt. They are the ones who are identifying people of a certain ethnicity and sending them home. And I want to turn my attention to the recent letter that is highly in circulation. And let me read it here for you. And this is dated the 17th of December, 2020, which is today. Mr. Shelton Daniels, Deputy Permanent Secretary Admin, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security. This look like Stabroek, Georgetown. And this is what the missive reads. Dear Mr. Daniels, read transfer of Mr. Shelton Daniels, Deputy Permanent Secretary Admin, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, to Deputy Chief Administrative Officer, New Opportunity Corps in the same ministry. And this is what it is saying here. Approval has been given for you to be transferred laterally from the post of Deputy Permanent Secretary Admin to the post of Deputy Chief Administrative Officer at the New Opportunity Corps at the same salary and terms of conditions you presently enjoy. This will come into effect on January 16, 2021. Sincerely, Honorable Gail Teixeira, MP, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance. So, The point I was making earlier, friends and family, is this: it is not guilt to share as responsibility to transfer people. It is not guilt to share as responsibility or any minister of the government to decide where what how employees are to be treated in the public service. Even if even if a minister would want to have a staff transfer, or probably move to some other position, or whatsoever the case might be, there is a procedure, and that procedure has to be followed by the permanent secretary, because the permanent secretary, there's a clear distinction between the role of a minister, who is there as a policy directorate. So whatever decision is made at the level of cabinet, it is for that minister now to go back to his or her ministry and ensure that the directions given, or the policy directions given by cabinet, and this sometimes would come by way of a cabinet memorandum too, right? Because you must have these things in black and white. So it is for that minister to ensure that the policies of his or her government are implemented. And this is where the permanent secretary or the deputy permanent secretary will have to play a role, along with the technical support staff and the admin staff, to ensure that these policies are implemented. So back to the letter prepared by the Honorable Member Gail Teixeira to Mr. Shelton Daniels. This is not the role of Gail Teixeira. Even if they want to have Mr. Shelton Daniels transfer, and you must give reason. There must be reasons why you want an employee to be transferred. You just can't wake up tomorrow morning and decide, you know what? I don't like Annette Ferguson, and I'm going to get you out of the way. And this is what the People's Progressive Party Civic is doing. So rather than them following the public service rule, they are lords and gods unto themselves. And you see, I cannot understand why we have the silence by the Public Service Commission. Why do we have the silence by the Ghana Public Service Union? Because these employees, I sure these employees, they are paying union dues. And once you're paying union dues, and these type of atrocities or unfair treatment are meted out, it is for the union to get involved and take the necessary appropriate actions. It is for the public service. By constitution, you're constitutionally bound to execute your mandate. But from the 3rd of August to now, we have not heard from the Ghana, from the Public Service Commission. We have been hearing little from the Ghana Public Service Union. And these are your workers. But you know what? People want the politicians to fight their case. Yes, we will fight your case. But it has to be done in a systematic and a strategical way. Because as public servants, your representative is that of the Ghana Public Service Union. So when the Public Service Union steps in, and things in going the way they ought to go, then the politicians will play their role. And then we have the silence. Many of these persons who have been relieved of their jobs, they too have been silent. Yes, we as members of parliament, we have been speaking out. If you follow the different programs I referred to earlier, you will hear my colleagues them speaking the same thing. Why is it that our people are being treated this way? And if we do not, as my intro song says, let's come together. The only way we can fight this haughty enemy called the People's Progressive Party Civic is that we have to come together as one. We have to come together as Guyanese to ensure that, to sound our voices. Enough is enough. So in this COVID environment, what we're seeing, a number of persons were sent home or have been sent home. That's one. Two, they're not concerned of the rippling effect this would have on the families of those persons. Because let us use Dr. Mark Bino, he might have been the lone breadwinner of his home. Now that he has been relieved of his duties as head of the energy um, department, what is going to happen? So I know that many families will be having a bleak Christmas. Many families will be having a bleak Christmas. It will not be Christmas like 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, and 2015. Because persons have been sent home. That's one. Two is that what we're seeing, there's been no announcement of an increase for public servants. But I have given this thing a deep thought. You know why the government has not announced a public service increase? Because all those people, whether janitor, driver, cleaner, whomever, whichever category of employment they were in, those persons are entitled. Those persons will be entitled to an increase in wages and salaries from January 2020 up to the time they were sent home. So now you send off all these people. And what you're going to do now is penalize the public servants by not giving them um, an increase in the 2020 salaries. Because if you give the public servants, those who were employed from January 2020 to, as I said before, the time of their unlawful dismissal in 2020, they too will have to benefit from the salary increases. So you want to punish the people twice. No increase for public servants, there are no increase for those who were also employed. And this is unfair. And this is unfair. So this evening I'm calling out. I am calling out the Guyana Public Service Union. Where are you? In the budget of 2020, we approved 150 million Guyana dollars to pay frontline workers, nurses, doctors, all those frontline in the health sector there. And I recall 2 weeks ago when I checked in with a doctor friend of mine, I said, man, y'all get the monies yet? The 150 million, from the 150 million, up to now, the monies have not been paid. Up to now, the monies have not been paid. So we have to look at this thing in a different context now. Is it that these monies that should have been um, disbursed to the healthcare officers or workers, is it that these very monies will now be used to pay healthcare workers their 2 weeks bonus? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Is it the very 150 million will be paid as the 2 weeks bonus? Well, I have a simple answer to that. And I know, yes, it is the very 150 million that should have already been disbursed to the healthcare workers. It is the very monies that will be paid to healthcare workers as a 2 weeks bonus. What a shame on the People's Progressive Party Civic. We went at nausea in 2015, in 2016, in 2017, up to 2019 to explain to public servants the difference between a bonus and an increase. A bonus is just a little thing, an extra thing. It is not something that is added to to your salary. It is not monies that will see your salaries being increased from where it is to where it should be going. No. A bonus is just, a little a little rewarding, for want of a better word. But with an increase, you will see your salaries now moving from one amount to another amount. And many persons were upset when we took that approach. But I know that many of you, I've seen it across social media calling on bring back Jordan and the coalition. Bring back the coalition. Time like this, public servants were hustling, bustling in the tongue of Georgetown last year to get the extra, things for the Christmas. But no. Mm-mm-mm. But that is why we have been saying to many of you, do not spend your monies, in a haphazard way. Spend your monies wisely. Spend your monies prudently. Spend your monies on the basic thing, your needs, the necessities, food. That is what you would want. Not Christmas tree, not a toy for the child or your children. And that's what the PPP are doing right now. They're going into communities and distributing toys. But they're not taking a step backward to ask themselves, oh, we have really carried out a cruel act on public servants. Children can't eat toys. Children cannot eat toys. So, in one hand, you take away the jobs from the family. Because I'm sure many of the children who are receiving toys, their family, whether uncle, a aunt, a mother, a father, a brother, or a sister, or a cousin, I'm sure many of the persons who were sent home are families of these children that they are now distributing toys to. People ain't want toys. People need monies to ensure that the basic necessities are provided. And that's why I will continue to say to you, yes, we all enjoy Christmas. But for 2020, we have to be stringent. We have to ensure that look, it cannot be a Christmas as usual. That is why we're encouraging everybody to spend their monies wisely. Spend your money on the basic necessities. So, my brothers and sisters, the coalition MPs, we have been speaking out. I think tomorrow you'll be hearing more from the leader of the opposition. Yes, we have been doing our thing, whether at the level of the community, the level of the districts. We have been, going out there meeting our people. So, the other thing I want to touch on, the People's Progressive Party track record while in office. And I noticed they ease up a little bit on the whole success um, situation there. It was the People's Progressive Party Civic, while we, the coalition, was in office, who said to the people, go take the lands in success. So when they came to office by fraudulent means, or when they were installed, they're now asking the people, to vacate the lands. Well, the people, they have resisted. And I think we as opposition, we have adequately addressed this matter, and we called on the on this government to ensure that the lands are regularized and people are given the lands. They're Guyanese. They are Guyanese. And they have an equal opportunity just like any other Guyanese, whether you're Indo, whether you're Afro, whether you're Chinese, whether you're Portuguese. They have equal rights, just like any other group, to enjoy the patrimony that this country has to offer. But you know what? We have seen them going into different villages. And I know a couple of weeks ago, they were somewhere in Region 3, where they give persons who are living, as in unregularized areas. These people are now enjoying light, they're now enjoying water, and all the other basic social services they're enjoying. So you're torn up in canal number 1 by the conservancy there and flood them people. No, you didn't turn up there, because you know why? Those people are of a different ethnic makeup. While those, predominantly those in success, are of a different ethnic makeup. Because while you might have a mixture of ethnic makeup there in success, predominantly there's one ethnic group, and it's the Afro-Guyanese. So when we went into success a couple weeks ago, we were told by the residents out there, oh, you see over there, the people squatted just like us over here. But you know what? They're of a different ethnic makeup. So they ain't going to flood out them. But they come here and the flooding we out. Well, I must commend the people for putting up such a resistance. They have put up the resistance because, like other Guyanese, they have a right to enjoy a piece of land to build their homes. So I know for a fact that the people, they're still out there, and from time to time we usually check in with them to find out how things are going. The other issue I want to touch on this evening, just before I close my program, is this: the housing sector. The housing sector. The housing sector, I was appalled last week when the installed president was in the Pomeroon um, Supernam area there. And he said to the residents there in region number 2, oh, his government will be injecting 5 billion Guyana dollars. Well, that is something that we have to, look at very keenly, because I know 2020 budget did not cater for a 5 billion sum to be expended in region number 2. So he said to the people, $5 billion will be injected to provide, proper housing accommodation and all manner of things. And what was striking to me is when, between himself and the CEO, made mention of, housing scheme, 600 house lots will be distributed. Areas such as Lima Sands and Charity. Well, I know for a fact that there were no lands in region number 2 at this moment to be distributed. Because during my short stint at the Ministry of Communities, the Department of Housing, And we had like two outreaches there in region number two. And just before the outreaches, myself and team, we met. And I said to them, do we have any lands available? They said, no, Minister, we don't have any lands or, new areas to open up lands for housing in region number two. What we do have in some of the schemes, whether on the Neiman, these are existing schemes on the Neiman, I think Lima Sands, and I know Charity, because Charity is um, a sore area where you got a lot of squatting still existing. So those areas you may find like a one or two and thereabout. So I asked them to identify the lots that were not um, allocated, and we were able to distribute. And I recall sharing with the then commissioner at Lands and Survey, Mr. Ben. I engaged him to inquire whether um, Lands and Survey had got lands in the region there that we can start, negotiating and so forth. And he said, no. So when I heard Charity and I heard Lima Sands, well, if you're going to Lima Sands, because I'm familiar with the region to some extent. So if you're going to Lima Sands, probably gotta be these backlands. And I know the backlands are basically rice field lands. So the question that we have to ask is whether they will be, repossessing these lands. Well, once it is lands that are privately owned, you can repossess what is not yours. So I don't know if they have intention of negotiating with these private owners to get some acres of land so that they can start the whole preparations for land distribution. But what I know is that Charity, where are you going to open up this land? Where are the lands in Charity to be given out? Because I know for a fact that there's no available area in Charity to open up new housing scheme. So the point I'm trying to make here to you people, whenever the People's Progressive Party Civic open up the mouth, we gotta take these things with a pinch of salt, because it's all about dreams. It's all about, you know, trying to hoodwink you into something that we will not see. Remember the Amila Falls? Remember the fiber optic cable project? Y'all remember the Skeldon Sugar Factory plant? Yes, we got Skeldon. The factory was built. But what it was built for, we're not enjoying the end result of what the factory was built for. So it is all about a wildness. So if you don't have a plan, yes, you might conceive a project. You might have a project idea. I want to build, you heard about them, wanting to build the Demerara Harbor Bridge. They want to build this Demerara Harbor Bridge under the APNU AFC government. You know what we did? Yes, it was we had the idea too to construct a new Demerara Harbor Bridge. So this is a new project. But you know what we did? We held, we had a firm out of, I think it was Germany, that came in to conduct the study. The study was done because when you're conducting studies, it's not just a couple men, sitting around a table and deciding we go put together, some literature together and call it a feasibility study. There's certain things that you must do. You gotta hold meetings. You must visit the site. You must do consultation because you gotta do consultation with, the people within the proposed project site. So all these things you have to do before you move to this grand plan. So in your plan for this project, you have to have the various processes. So after the plan or the initiation, right? Then you have your plan. Then you move to monitoring and evaluation. Then you move to before the closeout of the project. So you have to ensure that the various processes are followed because you already have a plan. The plan is to construct a new Demerara Harbor Bridge. So you have to follow the plan, the processes for the project. But this is not how the People's Progressive Party works. So the APNU, we conducted a feasibility study. We know exactly um, where where was the best possible site to have that new Demerara Harbor Bridge constructed, because we had the waters tested, we had consultation with people around the area. We had consultation with persons, road users and all manner of things. So all of that was done. So what was left was basically for the government to find the monies to fund the project. Government change. So this is what is happening now. You came into government just under 3 months. Probably in your first month, you're going to tell Guyanese, oh, we find a new site. We find a new site. But what thought process? Were there consultations? Did you, conduct a study to determine whether, the site you're seeking to have the new Demerara Harbor Bridge built um, is, 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 um, is appropriate? So it's another set of monies that will be wasted because you had one study done. All you had to do now is find the funds to execute the project. So rather than taking what was already there and build on it, find the funds, let the project move forward. No, because it was, the study was done under the APNU AFC government. You're going to decide that, well, look, no, don't worry about them thing. Let me do your own thing. So where is the plan? We heard about hotels coming. Have you seen the plan? No. We heard about road from the Demerara Harbor Bridge. A 4-lane road from the Demerara Harbor Bridge way to Perica. Have we seen the plan? No. Where's the study? None. No. The other project that was conceptualized by the AP and UFC government was the over to Diamond, linking many of the communities on the east bank of Demerara. Lincoln, I think first it would have been Eccles, then we moved to Providence, then you move to Mocha, then to Diamond. But no, they're now telling us that they're going to ensure that the project is from Ogle to um, Ogle to Eccles. But you know what? They haven't said to us, well, look, this is the new plan, and this is and this is what it would cost them, and all manner of thing. So Guyanese are being shortchanged. Guyanese are being hoodwinked. Guyanese, you are being fooled by the People's Progressive Party Civic. And that is why we gotta come together We must come together to voice our voices against this kind of, this mafia style governance that we have in this country. I call it a mafia style governance because look what is happening in the police force. Look what is happening in the police force. The Guyana Police Force is no longer a professional organization. When we took government, we know the state that the Guyana Police Force was in. But you know what? We worked. We worked. We sent officers on training. We had them exposed to so many things so as to better their level of performance in the police force so that they can have a good and positive relationship with the people in the various communities. But I could tell you, you will say to me, like I have been reading, you know, in some of the dailies, also on social media, and in conversation with different ones, that you know what? The professionalism of the Guyana Police Force has gone through the flooring. It has fallen through the cracks of the flooring because no longer are we seeing that that positive relationship with police and citizen. Look what happened 2 nights ago. This family is hurting. This family is still grieving. This family is affected. They haven't received justice for their boys, Joel and Henry. They're still hurting, they're still bleeding within. So heading back home, the vehicle was stopped. The boy said, look, I don't have my driver's license on me, but I have it in my phone. But you know the policemen, they're Irish now. They get high and mighty now. So they can treat citizens anyhow, anyway, and anywhere. This situation could have been treated differently. As brother Gladstone rightfully said, they explained to the police officer, look, we were at a function, we're the Henry's family, we're still hurting and all kind of thing. What that officer should have done, all right, I sympathize in with y'all. I know it's hurting. I give you my sympathy, but I know y'all got to travel a little far. So warn the youngster, ensure that next time you got your driver's license on you. You understand me? And wish them a safe journey home. But no, the situation compounded. It was escalated. And look what is happening now. 5 charges have been brought before Colwyn Henry and his mother, Miss Johnson, Gail Johnson. 5 charges. Now tell me, is this fair? The system of justice is already failing them because the police is a part of the justice. Because in order, before the matter goes to the court, it is the police that must conduct the various investigations. But that isn't being done. The people are still waiting. You heard their cries. You heard their pleas. The police is not even keeping them abreast as to what is happening, where this case is, whether to find anybody or nothing. But you know what? We had persons who came into this country. Um, the Argentina forensic specialists came into the country to provide assistance to the Ghana police force. But rather than the government accepting this with open arms to have this particular murder solved. No, they're not cooperating. Why aren't you cooperating? Is it that you want this particular case to be added as another cold case? But no. And I must applaud the family for taking that stand together, demanding justice for the loss of their sons. And I must commend publicly Mr. Nigel Hughes for all the humanitarian work that he has been, you know, given to this family, supporting them from day one. And I know that many others are doing their bit behind the scene. But we have to demand justice. Not only the Henrys, there are many other lives that have been lost. You had a youngster in Crane. You had a youngster there somewhere in region number 6. They too, their lives were, were snuffed out. For what? And the families, they cannot get justice. Because why? We have a Guyana police force. Rather than being professional, they're taking their directives from the politicians. And I recall when we were in office, something was being said to um, the then commissioner of police, Mr. Leslie James. And Leslie James came out boldly. Leslie James said, because it was being peddled that Leslie James was taking instructions from politicians. And Leslie came out rebutting that. He said, I don't take instructions from politicians. He was bold enough to say that under the APNU AFC government. So when he came out with that boldness, he wasn't chastised by us. He wasn't sidelined. He wasn't demoted or sent to some other region. No, that is his freedom. That is his right to speak out. But if you to look in the reverse, what is happening now is that Hoppy can't come out and say that. Hoppy ain't got the galls. He don't have the galls to come out and say, well, look, this is what he's not taking directives from politicians. Sometimes he ain't even getting directions. It's the ones beneath him getting the directions. And, so Guyana is in a serious, serious, serious um, state at the moment. And as Nigel Hughes rightly asks, is Guyana a state? Or is Guyana a country? Which part of the world do you see politicians mingling and meddling and interfering with independent um, agencies? Is only Guyana. The hand in the judiciary, the hand in the police business, the hand in the legislative, because Mr. The clerk, the Speaker of the National Assembly, he is responsible for the affairs, of the assembly, the managing and the monitoring of the assembly's business. But he can only act when he's given such a directive by his political masters. So since the budget in September of 2020, apart from a little few, just the Parliamentary Management Committee meeting now and then, we haven't had a sitting. We haven't had the committees, because let me tell you something. You might be hearing us speaking about, the Public Accounts Committee not meeting, have not met as yet. and other committees. You got a public accounts committee. You got, and later on I will explain briefly, not on this program, but on another program, how the purpose for these committees and how they should be working. Because it is the committees at the level of the National Assembly, you have the committees. And it is the committees that got to ensure that certain functions are carried out so that we can have the workings at the bigger level, which is the National Assembly level. But that we're not seeing. So the Public Accounts Committee has not met. You got a committee of appointments that is responsible for ensuring that appointments are made to many of the constitutional agencies, whether it's the ERC, whether it's the the Women and Gender Commission, whether it is the Rights of the Child Commission. It is the responsibility of the commissioner, the committee of appointment is responsible for ensuring that these constitutional agencies are properly constituted. What else do we have? The Economic Service Committee. We also have the Committee on Social Services Committee. This is where MPs, along with ministers of the government, will visit whether the palms, whether the children home, whether all the social services agencies, to ensure that the agencies are properly staffed, they're properly executing their mandates and all manner of things. So when these committees aren't meeting, how do you expect the working of the larger National Assembly? So we have been very vocal on that. We have been calling on this illegitimate government to ensure that the National Assembly meet, because that is where we must discuss the business of the people. But you know what the government is saying? They don't have an agenda. Before the elections, you say you got all this plan and all this and all this that. So now that you have the reign of government, we expect that you should have already, you should have a 5-year agenda or a 5-year plan. And from that plan, you pull out what your parliamentary agenda would look like. So they don't have an agenda. That's why we don't have a sitting, or we haven't had sittings. So we have been calling out the government on that the business of the people must be addressed, and we want to ensure that the National Assembly is called. And I guess we will hear more of that from the leader of the opposition. The last point I want to address here this evening, it is the COVID relief funds. Like my other colleagues, we, the 31 members in the National Assembly, we approved the sum of 4.6 billion Guyana dollars. 4.6 billion Guyana dollars, taxpayers' money, of which each household will be given $25,000. But you know what? I recall during the budget presentation, members on the opposition benches asked some tough questions. What is the plan? What is your method? What is the method? The methods or the methodology that will be used? What is the difference between? Can you differentiate for us what constitutes a household? Well, my brothers and sisters, to date, we have not received no documentation from the government to say what constitutes a household. This is the method or the methodologies that will be used for the various regions and all manner of things. But no, what we have been told and what we have been seeing via social media and some of the electronic media is that communities that were already visited, you had region 1, you had region 2, you had region 3 so far, 5, 6, 7, 9 and 10. But let me tell you something. Of those regions that have already been serviced, we have been inundated with complaints that many households, many families have not received this COVID cash relief fund. Why? It's because they're they're APNU. It is because they're PNC. It is because they're not PPPC. That is what is being reported to us on a daily basis. And what we have found, I think they're now in Region 4. They've started somewhere on the East Bank, I think from Moblissa coming down, and they've already started in on the East Coast from Cane Grove, Mahika area, they're coming down. But we have been saying to many of you out there, if they're in your community, you got to let us know. You got to bad up for this money. The money belongs to you. And the only way we would know whether you ain't getting this money is that you got to filter the information to us. Find us. We're all on social media. We're all on Facebook. Send us your addresses. Send us your contact number. Let us know when the team went into your area. Let us know who were the team members and all manner of thing. Because what is happening is that is that they are using the People's Progressive Party Civic. They are using their people, their activists. So, because of the lack of a plan, because of the lack of a methodology or a strategy to be used to ensure that these monies are disbursed in a transparent and equitable manner, this is why you got this loosey arrangement. People walking around with people walking around the communities with bags of monies or envelopes in the bags with monies, and police officers with huge guns. That is an untidy arrangement. A better strategy should have been deployed to ensure that the monies are properly distributed, and that each family member receives the $25,000. Because I can tell you this, you have families, and I know when they meet to areas, certain areas more so like South Georgetown, where you got like areas like Alboystown, you got areas like West and East Rumvelt, Ling Avenue, North Rumvelt. What you find happening is that people got, this single house, but they would have added on a side to accommodate another family. So when they visit these areas now, they're looking at the add-on piece, we got this other family. They're saying to people that they got to give the principal person in the house. So if you live in downstairs, you're a tenant, and your landlord lives upstairs. They're saying that the landlord is the principal person. Now, in your whole arrangement, you didn't talk about landlord. You didn't talk about tenant. The whole what is catchy here is a household. So you cannot. The landlord upstairs is not a part of my household, or I'm not a part of the landlord's household. So there are two distinctions there. Yes, it's one building, but I paying a rent for down here. So I must get what is deserving to me down here. And that is why we're saying to people, you have to speak up. You got to bad up for this money because the money belongs to you. We voted for it. This money coming from Freedom House. But what they're doing, they're going into, let me say, Annadale. They're distributing Annadale. Mm, Next village might be Buxton. They're going to skip Buxton. Or if they know that, well, look, Buxton got few of, their supporters, they're going in there and giving the money. So there's no structured way in the distribution of these funds because of a lack of planning. A lack of planning. So the COVID relief funds that are being distributed, it is not being distributed in a fair and equitable way. It shared discrimination. You listen to all the Better Garden Mosley program, all the other call-in programs, Basil Bradshaw on Channel 9, Channel 6, Voice of Guyana. You got Gordon Mosley program and all the other programs on radio. You listen to the cries, you listen to the complaint of these people. People are reporting that the team was in their area, but they have not received the funds. So when we asked about, the strategies would be used, we didn't hear about pig farm. We didn't hear about, oh, you're going to fill up this pig farm and then you're going to come back. But I want to tell you people, they're not going to come back. So even if you complete a pig farm, rest assured they ain't coming back to your community. That is why when they were there, you had to bad up, get in contact with your MP